Do not speak in the meeting, Riley. You are paid to build, not to bask. Dana Voss said it the way people say, bless you, like it was a kindness. Her camera square filled my screen. Perfect hair, perfect lighting, perfect confidence. Behind her was the glass wall of Cinderlock Systems, where everything looked clean enough to eat off, including other people's work. I do not want to bask, I said. I want my name attached to what I built. Dana smiled like I had asked for a pony in a parking garage. Your name is attached. In your heart. In my heart. Lovely place for a technical artifact to live. I turned back to the code. Sentinel Weave was not a product that could survive on vibes. It was a security engine for payment processors, a living set of detection rules that learned normal and punished strange. It had escalation logic that triaged threats, override patterns for clients with antique systems, and a failsafe that froze access if the world caught fire. I had built it like a cathedral and maintained it like a hospital. And Dana had watched, fascinated, leaning over my shoulder every other day with the bright curiosity of someone watching bread rise. What does this piece do? She would ask, pointing at a block of logic. It decides whether a process is lying, I would say. Dana would nod slowly, eyes glittering. Brilliant. Explain it like I am on a panel. I would explain. She would take notes. Later, she would send an email to leadership with my explanation rewritten as if it had fallen out of her mouth. In stand-up, she called it mentorship. In private, she called it alignment. Either way, she treated my work like a buffet. Sample everything, pay for nothing. Around the early morning, my phone buzzed with an alert. A client's traffic had shifted, like a door creaking open in a house that should be empty. I handled it quietly. I always did. While the company slept, I was the one on the catwalk above the servers, listening for footsteps. Later, Dana messaged me. Dana. Saw the dashboard dip. All good? Me. Contained it. Dana. Amazing. You are a wizard. Wizards, it turned out, were not eligible for contribution bonuses. Leaders were. Days blurred into sprints and late-night patches. Dana floated through it all, studying my screen the way a collector studies a painting. Show me the rule hierarchy again, she said once, almost reverent. Why? I just love how your mind works, she replied. It was nearly flattering, until you noticed she never asked how to cite it. Then came the quarterly impact review. A video call with the executive team, the kind where people nod like dolls and say synergy with straight faces. Dana insisted I join for visibility, then instructed me to keep my microphone off for focus. Her square appeared. My square appeared. My voice did not. Dana leaned forward and said, Sentinel Weave has been my signature initiative. I steered the design, refined the behavior, and ensured our clients stayed protected. Signature initiative. Steered, refined, ensured. I sat there with my notes open, my hands still, my face neutral. If you interrupt a thief in a tuxedo, the room will blame the person with the raised voice. Executives nodded. Someone chuckled. Someone said, Dana, you have really elevated the team. Dana glanced at me, quick and light, like a pat on the head. Consent by proximity. Then the director of operations said, We are awarding a contribution bonus for critical system ownership. Dana's smile widened, patient and expectant. We are approving 45,000, the director continued, for leadership ownership of Sentinel Weave. Dana placed a hand on her chest, like she had just been handed an honorary degree. Thank you. I accept the responsibility. My screen showed faces clapping. My ears heard my own blood. The meeting ended with congratulations and warm laughter, like everyone had just watched a feel-good movie. When people logged off, Dana pinged me privately. Dana. Great call. See what happens when we let leadership speak with one voice. I stared at her message until the words stopped meaning anything. Then I typed back. Me. Yes. one voice. A little later, an email arrived from Human Resources with the subject line, Compensation Alignment Update. It was short and surgical. My role was classified as operational support. Operational support did not qualify for a contribution bonus. The critical system, Sentinel Weave, was tied to leadership ownership. I read it twice, not because it was confusing, but because it was precise. Dana had not stolen my work in a dramatic chase scene. She had stolen it in a conference call, in a policy sentence, in a smile that made everyone else relax. I closed the email, and for the first time in a long time, I stopped feeling tired. I started feeling clear. Dana cornered me near the coffee machine, her celebration energy bouncing off the walls like it belonged there. Crazy quarter, she said, bright as a billboard. I did not expect that kind of recognition. I watched the coffee drip into a paper cup that felt too flimsy for the morning. You mean the bonus? Her smile sharpened. 45,000. It just shows what happens when you take ownership. Ownership. The word landed with the weight of a stamped document. Congratulations, I said. I kept my voice smooth, professional, boring. It was the only safe weapon in an office full of friendly knives. Thank you, Dana replied. You should feel proud too. You helped. Helped. Like I had brought napkins to a banquet. She floated away, already tapping her phone, already collecting her next trophy. I returned to my desk and opened my inbox again, as if maybe the email would change its mind. It did not. I called the HR number anyway. A woman answered with the tone of someone who speaks in templates. This is Camille in People Operations. I need to understand the criteria, I said. Sentinel Weave was cited as critical. Yes, she replied instantly. It is tied to leadership ownership. I built it, I said. A pause, not shocked, just calculated. Your work is valued, Riley, but it is considered execution, not strategic contribution. I laughed once, a small sound with no joy in it. So I execute the thing that keeps clients from panicking, but I do not own it. That is correct, Camille said gently. You are a support function. Support. A word that sounds noble until you realize it means replaceable. After the call, Dana messaged me again. Dana. Team drinks after work. We should celebrate the win. I did not reply. That evening, alerts flickered across my screen. Sentinel Weave caught a suspicious payload and quarantined it with the quiet efficiency of a trapdoor. I resolved it. I documented it. I filed the report. Nobody thanked me. Nobody needed to. The system stayed up, and that was the only applause I ever got. The next day, Dana called a knowledge share. She invited a few junior analysts and insisted I walk through the architecture, so everyone understands the brilliance. Dana sat at the head of the room like a host at a cooking show. She leaned in, eyes bright, taking notes as I spoke. What do you call this piece? She asked, pointing at the escalation flow. It is the latter, I said. It routes threats based on severity and context. Dana repeated it slowly. The latter. Gorgeous. I kept talking, explaining edge cases, fail states, and the emergency freeze. I watched Dana's pen move. I watched her mouth the phrases as I said them, practicing ownership like a speech. Later, I saw her send an email to leadership with a polished attachment titled, Dana Voss, Sentinel Weave, Strategic Overview. Inside it were my diagrams, lightly restyled, my phrases, lightly perfumed, my logic, wearing her name like a stolen coat. I opened the attachment and felt something in me go still. Not rage, not tears, strategy. I began collecting what I had avoided collecting for years. Proof. I saved commits with timestamps. I archived design documents. I exported chat logs where Dana asked, again and again, how does this work? And, what do I say if someone asks? I kept her compliments too, because compliments were just theft with glitter on top. While I gathered evidence, Dana grew bolder. In meetings, she started saying, I designed the ladder, and I built the emergency freeze. I watched faces nod. A junior analyst named Owen pulled me aside later, whispering like the walls had ears. Did she actually build it? I looked at Owen and chose my words carefully. She watched it being built. Owen frowned. Is that the same thing? No, I said. Watching is what people do when they want to own the ending without earning the middle. He nodded slowly, uneasy. Then, around a quiet morning when the office air felt too clean, Dana strolled up to my desk and leaned on the edge like she owned the furniture. We need to future-proof Sentinel Weave, she said. Single points of failure are a risk. I did not look up. I agree. Dana's eyes glittered. So we should ensure no one person holds all the keys. I finally looked at her. You do not hold any keys. Dana laughed, light and dismissive. Do not be dramatic. I hold the responsibility. Responsibility without understanding, I said, is just confidence wearing a badge. Her smile faltered for half a breath, then returned, sharper. Riley, you are excellent at building. Leave the ownership to me. She walked away. And I realized something chillingly simple. Dana did not just want my work. Dana wanted to watch me build it again, so she could steal the sequel too. So I started planning a finale she would never see coming. I did not confront Dana in a big meeting. I did not slam a folder on a table. I did not deliver a speech. Offices do not reward truth. Offices reward whoever stays calm while lying. Instead, I became polite and patient, the way you become around a snake when you need it to keep thinking you are furniture. Dana continued hovering, hungry for details. Walk me through the emergency freeze, she would say. I would answer, precise but incomplete, enough to sound helpful, not enough to hand her the steering wheel. You are maturing, she told me one afternoon, like I was a houseplant. You are learning executive partnership. I am learning something, I said. She never heard the second meaning. Meanwhile, leadership began preparing for the annual client showcase, Cinderlock's favorite performance, polished slides, dramatic product names, and applause for the people who did not write a line of code. Dana was scheduled to present Sentinel Weave on stage. Dana loved stages. She asked me to sit in on rehearsals, not because she needed help, but because she loved watching me react to my own work being claimed. In the rehearsal room, Dana practiced her lines. When I built Sentinel Weave, I focused on resilience, she said, crisp and proud. I designed a ladder escalation model that adapts to threat context. She glanced at me after each sentence, checking for flinches. I gave her none. I took notes, as if I were her assistant, not her source. After rehearsal, she pulled me aside. You are quiet. I am focused, I said. Dana nodded, satisfied. That is why you are support, and I am leadership. Support. Leadership. Two words that turned people into furniture and crowns. That night, I opened Sentinel Weave's internal documentation and scrolled to a section nobody ever read. Maintenance pathways. Years earlier, I had built a safeguarded access route for emergency recovery, a narrow corridor used to restore corrupted systems under strict oversight. It was the kind of thing you build when you are responsible and paranoid. It required approvals. It required audit trails. It required someone who actually cared. Dana had never cared. Dana cared about slides. I stared at that maintenance pathway and thought about my bonus email, about the phrase operational support, about Dana's smile when the money landed. I did not need to steal anything from Dana. I just needed to stop protecting her from the consequences of her own hunger. So I did something quiet. I left the corridor unguarded, not with a tutorial, not with a map, not with instructions, just a door left unlocked in a building where everyone assumed Dana was the owner and I was the doorman. Then I waited. The week of the client showcase arrived with the usual chaos, branded banners, rehearsed laughter, executives walking faster than their ideas. Dana was glowing. This is my moment, she said to anyone with ears. She strutted past my desk and tapped my monitor like it was a lucky charm. Keep everything stable, she said. I cannot have technical drama during my keynote. I looked up slowly. You cannot have technical drama during your keynote. Dana grinned. Exactly. Early in the morning, alarms began to whisper. Not the loud ones, the soft ones. The ones that indicate someone is testing the edges, brushing against rules without tripping them. A careful hand. A curious mind. Owen messaged me. Owen. Traffic looks weird. Is this normal? Me. No. A moment later, Dana pinged me. Dana. Dashboard looks green. Stop scaring the juniors. I watched the logs. I watched patterns form. Someone was probing the system like a locksmith feeling for the pins. Owen started a team channel. Possible intrusion attempts. Watching. Dana replied immediately with a thumbs-up reaction, no words. Her favorite leadership tool, emoji accountability. The probes continued. Then they shifted. Clean processes began to misclassify. Monitoring tools started getting quarantined. Internal credentials flickered in and out of access like lights in a storm. Owen called me. Riley, it is locking me out. Do not force it, I said. It wants you to panic. Who is doing this? Someone who has learned our habits, I replied. Dana joined the incident bridge with her keynote voice. Okay, everyone, stay calm. Give me a summary. Owen explained, stumbling. Sentinel Weave is quarantining our own tools. It is isolating us. Dana frowned. Why would my system do that? My system. I muted myself for a second so nobody heard me breathe. Then I unmuted and said, because it is being fed inputs meant to confuse the hierarchy. Dana blinked. Can you fix it? I looked at the meeting roster, at the director, at the client showcase countdown, and I said, the owner should direct the fix. Dana's smile disappeared. For once, the room did not relax. Silence on an incident bridge is never empty. It is full of people calculating where blame will land. The director spoke, voice tight. Dana, you presented this system as yours. Are you the owner? Dana straightened, recovering her shine like a performer finding the spotlight. Yes, I can take point. Great, the director said. What is the remediation plan? Dana paused. Not long enough to be a disaster, but long enough to be noticed. We should stabilize access, she said. Riley can execute. Riley knows the details. Every head turned toward me. It felt like being volunteered for a sinking ship by the person who had named it after herself. I kept my voice even. I can support. I will not override the system owner. Dana's eyes narrowed. Riley, stop playing games. I am not playing, I replied. I am following the ownership model you sold. The director exhaled slowly. Dana, issue a directive. Dana opened her mouth, then closed it. Her expertise was made of borrowed sentences, and borrowed sentences collapse under pressure. Owen spoke softly, trying to help. The ladder is colliding. It needs the original hierarchy resequenced. Dana repeated, buying time. Resequenced. Right. Where? The director asked. Dana looked at me, pleading now, like I was a stagehand who had walked away during her costume change. I did not hate her. Hate is a hot emotion. This was colder. Dana, I said, still calm. Tell them what you want done. Dana's jaw tightened. I want you to fix it. The director cut in, sharper. That is not direction. That is delegation to the person you labeled support. Dana's face flickered through irritation, fear, and calculation. Then she tried a new angle. We do not have time for internal politics. Clients are watching. That was almost funny. Clients were watching the system, not her. Meanwhile, the intrusion changed shape. The careful probing became confident movement. Something slipped through the unlocked corridor I had left behind, not like a bulldozer, but like a professional with access. Internal services began failing. Not the perimeter, not the obvious defenses. The core logic, the place Sentinel Weave lived and breathed, started to buckle under manipulated inputs. Owen's voice cracked. We are losing visibility. Client services joined the bridge, frantic. Two payment partners are reporting errors. They want answers. Dana snapped into her keynote cadence. Tell them we are investigating and everything is under control. The director frowned. Is it? Dana glanced at me again, desperation sharp. Riley, just do it. I leaned back in my chair and let my hands rest flat on the desk. I could have closed the corridor, tightened the gates, restored the hierarchy. I knew every lever. But the story Dana had written required her to be the author, so I let her read it aloud. I will support any clear directive, I said. You have not given one. Dana looked like she might explode. You are being difficult. I am being accurate, I replied. The director's voice softened, dangerous and disappointed. Dana, explain how your system works. Dana swallowed. It is adaptive. How? The director pressed. Does it decide what to quarantine? Dana stared at her own reflection in the glass behind her camera, like maybe the answer was written there. Owen whispered into the mic, barely audible. Riley wrote that. Dana heard it. Everyone heard it. The bridge lit up with new alerts. Services went dark. A cascade, like dominoes kicked by a careful foot. Dana's keynote was scheduled soon. The client showcase team pinged the bridge. Are we good for the stage demo? Dana answered too quickly. Yes. The director cut her off. No, we are not. Dana's voice rose. If we cancel, it will be humiliating. Dana, the director said, colder now. This is already humiliating. The system is failing because the declared owner cannot operate it. I watched Dana's eyes widen, the mask slipping. She had built her identity on other people's work, and now the work was on fire. Inside me, something steady held. I opened my resignation letter draft. I had written it weeks earlier, not as a threat, but as an exit map. A simple statement. I was leaving due to misrepresentation of contributions and misalignment of accountability. I did not send it yet. Instead, I messaged Owen privately. Me. When this breaks fully, do not let them blame you. Owen. What are you going to do? I stared at the blinking alerts. At Dana's panicked face. At the corridor I had left unguarded, now full of strangers tearing through a cathedral. I typed back. Me. I am going to stop being support. Then, while the bridge argued about optics, I quietly revoked my own intervention. I stepped away from the keyboard, and the system, unattended by its so-called owner, began to collapse in public. Dana was still talking when I stood up. She was explaining resilience strategy to people watching live dashboards melt. It is a temporary disruption, she insisted. We are executing corrective measures. The director sounded like he had aged a year in a minute. Dana, stop. Riley, can you contain this? Every face turned to me again, the room trying to make a miracle out of the person they had categorized as a function. I looked into my camera, calm enough to be mistaken for mercy. I can, but that requires authority, and authority was traded for applause. Dana snapped, sharp and ugly. You are enjoying this. I let a beat pass. No, Dana, I am documenting it. I clicked my resignation email open. Subject line, Notice of Resignation. Recipient, the director, HR, and Dana, because honesty is more elegant when it includes the audience. Dana's voice rose again. If you walk away, you are sabotaging the company. I did not smile. Dana, you do not get to call it sabotage when you spent months calling it your core contribution. Then I hit send. The confirmation whoosh sounded tiny compared to the chaos, but it landed like a gavel. Camille from HR joined the bridge, voice strained. Riley, we need to discuss this offline. No, I replied. We have been discussing this for months. You just refused to hear it until it had flames. Owen spoke up, trembling. The core modules are being overwritten. This is not a glitch. Dana whipped toward him. Stop speculating. Owen swallowed. I am not speculating. I am reading the logs. The director asked the question nobody wanted answered. How did they get in? Dana said, too quickly. External attackers, obviously. I did not correct her. Correction is a gift. I had finished giving gifts. What mattered was the result. Sentinel Weave was being torn apart from inside its own trust. The safeguards were turning against their makers. Clients were watching error screens where stability used to be. Dana tried to salvage her image like a person trying to catch smoke. This is an enterprise-grade incident, she said, as if vocabulary could rebuild software. We will do a full post-mortem. The director cut in. Dana, stop talking like a press release. Tell me what you actually know. Dana's mouth opened. Nothing came out. In that gap, everything she had stolen fell to the floor. The client showcase host pinged again. We are live in a few minutes. Do we proceed? The director answered, voice flat. No, we do not proceed. Dana's face contorted. You cannot cancel. This is my keynote. The director replied, It is not your system. Dana turned to me, eyes bright with anger and fear. Fix it. You owe the company that. I stood there, hands at my sides. I do not owe a company that paid me in support while paying you in ownership. Dana hissed. You will never work in this industry again. I tilted my head slightly. Dana, I wrote the engine you are currently failing to describe. I will work anywhere I want. Owen whispered, barely audible. Riley, are you really leaving right now? I looked at him, the one person who had asked the right question earlier. Yes, because if I stay, they will rebuild the same lie and paint it a brighter color. On the bridge, alarms continued. Systems fell. Dana's voice shattered into frantic commands that meant nothing. The director started assigning emergency vendors, pulling in outside incident response, triage without dignity. Camille tried again. Riley, we can revisit the bonus decision. I laughed once, short and bitter. Now you have a budget for honesty. I reached down, unplugged my security key, and placed it on the desk like a final punctuation mark. Dana watched, frozen. She had spent months staring at my hands while I built. She had been so interested in my process, so eager for the magic, never realizing the simplest truth. Interest is not ownership. Watching is not work. Stealing does not come with instructions. I disconnected from the bridge. My screen went quiet. The office around me buzzed like a disturbed hive. As I walked out, my phone lit up with one final message from Dana. Dana, this is on you. I did not reply. Because the funniest part of revenge is not the explosion. It is the silence afterward, when the thief finally hears her own emptiness echo back.